Hello everyone, this is Saki Nakata, Stuff Final into Anime here, aka John Pullman, horror author, manga writer, personality name here, aka Gabe here, or if you like to be fancy, Rezi here. I'm pretty sure a few people know the name Rezi by now. Okay, as I always say, let's get this out of the way. In the description below, blue numbers are the timestamps. So I figured that was a bit important to note. So, as a road to my subscribe goal, which I'm currently trying to go for 2.98 million subscribers, I figured it would be a nice goal to try to achieve. Now, as everybody knows, I do work a lot on this channel, and I also take time, try to figure out some things behind the scenes of what to add in such and such. So, you obviously know what I'm saying. It's nothing bad, it's just something that is good. You know? It's gonna take much more work to get to 2.98 million subs, but hey, I figured it'd be a nice goal to go for. Because the last time I was trying to go for a goal for subscribers was only like a few months ago in a year. I'm sorry, I currently don't remember when I was trying to go for a sub goal, but we've done it, and now we're going for a larger one. But that's not the point of this video. You see what it is. A few hours ago, I have posted a little road to 2.98 million subs and road to Moko Chan Darkside Season 2. I have posted in the community page. You can still stay on the video and go see for yourself. If there wanted to be a recap of Season 1, and so that's what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to go into further detail inside of this video. That means the following is a warning. It's just going to be me and all of you looking at each other through a video of a camera. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. I want to give a little content warning first. So, because I'm going to go into further detail before Season 2 releases, which, if you didn't know, it's already released, not Season 2, I'm sorry, getting a little ahead of myself. Season 1 was released 2 weeks ago, and has already gone viral, so I figured that I'd make a second season. So, in terms of that being the content warning now, warning for this recap contains information of character design, violence, blood, gore, scary moments, all of the above. Viewer discretion is highly advised, because we all know that this is a rated R/mature audience channel only. I mean, honestly, on YouTube, what is anymore? It's not kid related anymore, that's for sure. Hell, I don't even think it was kid-related to begin with. YouTube was just that thing you would usually go on to find your videos to find out what to do, or if you wanted to listen to music. Now it's grown so much. So, let's get into the recap. Episode 1. Our story begins inside of Episode 1, obviously. We are introduced to a girl named Miki, who is very popular inside of school and outside of her life out of school. She's not really the talk of the town, though. She currently is hiding deep secrets, as we're going to go into further lore, so be hyped for that. She has green hair, blue eyes. She likes to wear her average normal outfit. Anything that looks casual to be in public. The thing she fears the most after she's done with school is that She goes home where her stepbrother would be coming back soon. Fearing for her life and hiding all her sadness within, she goes up to her room when she gets home. And if I can recall correctly, she pulls out a knife and pepper spray and hides in her closet. She doesn't hear her stepbrother home just yet, so she figured it's okay to actually go ahead and stay on her bed with her current weapons. But this outcome does not last long at all. As soon as she's on her bed, her stepbrother is already home. Their parents have died a while back. Hell, Miki is not even related to her stepbrother. You could say that her stepbrother is an abusive piece of garbage. You could say that he is a little bit of a overdoer, I could say. If you know what I'm hinting towards, this is something that the manga does not tell you because of YouTube's guidelines. So, I should say this, that I can't talk much about things behind the scenes, but we're definitely going to talk about a few things, as this will include hidden lore as well. So as soon as Miki hears her stepbrother come home, he charges upstairs calling her name. She's scared and doesn't know what to do, but because she has plot armor, she says, "Oh yeah, my friend Samantha," or Sammy-chan, as she likes to call her. It's basically the same name. She figured that since she doesn't live far away, she can go over and, run to her for help. So she does do that, but the requirements are losing her weapons after she falls out of her window by opening it from 2 stories up and does not break a single limb because she has plot armor. For now, anyway. Anyway, she's running down the street thinking she's okay until her stepbrother literally appears out of nowhere and jumps her, trying to do the deed with her. It's not long after that until she screams for help, and Sammy is the only one that hears her. She opens her door to see what's happening. She's shocked about this, and so she gets her gun and shoots Miki's stepbrother in the head. Shocked by this outcome, Miki sees that he's dead and is laying on top of her. Samantha then takes her in a few days later, or that night, if you want to phrase it like that, and she's trying to get used to living with Sammy. Miki is still traumatized by the outcome that happened that night. It's not long after that until the opening song starts. So, basically, after Miki is done being used to Samantha's house, she falls asleep and we wake up the next day. The following day, in the episode name, Sammy-chan, episode 2, is all about her. We learn that she's a average person who is nice to her friends and family, stuff like that. We see in her character bio description that she's a police officer, and I believe she's 15, I think. She's still a teenager is what I'm trying to say. I do apologize if I don't remember all of the characters' ages. However, when she's at work, Miki wakes up a few moments later, seeing that she's already at work and that she was working hard on an exam. But when we go back to Sammy-chan, she comes home, but something the manga doesn't tell you is that she's quite disappointed in her work, and she never wanted to be a police officer, but in her head she's thinking that maybe if I wasn't a police officer, I couldn't have saved Miki the other night. So, something that happens next along the lines of currently going to a bar is that when Sammy gets home, I believe Miki does want to go somewhere with Sammy. We'll say that since I am sorry. Since I really don't remember what currently happens inside of episode 2, because I remember when I made episode 2, it wasn't my favorite episode to make. But we'll go to when they're already at the bar. After they are going to this bar, after they left the house and are in the car for a few moments, Sammy then realizes who runs the bar and that she has history with this owner. And he's not a nice person with Sammy. We soon learn that Miki wants to go inside no matter what. She does not care what Sammy says, as she tried to warn her. It's soon a few moments later that Sammy wishes that Miki dies alone, basically. She goes back home, and the following night, she was trying to call and text Miki. This is an outcome from the hospital or the police station that it says, "We found Miki's dead body. She was stabbed and shot 13 times, I do believe, and she's currently lying dead on the ground." Samantha then says to herself basically that she didn't want this to happen. I didn't know this would come true. But because Miki is the main character and has a shit ton of plot armor, it's inside of the third episode that we currently go and see what is going to happen to her. So realizing that she's dead and inside of a dark room, or I should say inside of her corpse, that's dark and you can't see anything, she hears a familiar voice inside of her body, and it's her talking to herself. We learned that Miki was a fake personality of Moko, and that Moko was the real human being person. But we also learned that Moko Chan is the same person, yes, but the thing behind it is that not only is this her true self that has been locked away forever on end, she's also a goddess of death. So basically the same person. They make the deal, and she comes back to life as Moko-chan. Her eyes are now really like red, her hair is black, and her eyes sometimes go to black where the white color is of the eye, and the color of the eye itself is red, giving off a demonic vibe of horrific outcomes. It's soon later that night in the same episode that somebody shoots Moko in her head, but the bullet then pops out of the skull, healing her skull and her skin. So what she does to the person is that since this was a serial killer that was trying to kill Moko, she gave him a few minutes to run. It's not until she disagrees with what she just said to actually then hop on the person and suck his soul out. Because she doesn't understand the humans at the moment. She doesn't understand what it means to be human. So because she remembers who Sammy is, she goes to her house and passes out on the steps outside. And Sammy takes in Moko and puts her in her room, which used to be Miki's. Surprisingly, however, here's where another character comes to play. So Gregory is a character. He's a very understanding person. He moved in right after Sammy wished for Miki to die. He tells her it's not your fault that this happened. She's probably somewhere else. They're talking in the living room for a few minutes, but the regret that she has is unbearable. In fact, behind the lore, Sammy wanted to die and wished she was the one that wanted to die. But it's not until long that Gregory here, our understanding third protagonist, has only 20% of plot armor. And it's not until then that she gets calmed down by Gregory as Moko is sleeping inside of her room. She then wakes up a few hours later, but still rewinding 10 seconds into the second episode still. We learn that she is the same person as we already know, but Samantha says basically to Gregory, I don't know what it is, but it feels like I know her. Gregory's kind of in his head about this, saying that's impossible. We've never met this person before until this night. So then what happens is that she wakes up the next day, as we're into episode 3 now. Inside of episode 3, she wakes up and is trying to blend in as a human to learn about them and not trying to kill anyone unless she has to. She pretends to be their friend and they just have a jolly good old time. And I believe that Moko goes back to school learning about humans. They're then out of school the past hour, and then the following hour they're inside of their house and they're just trying to have a conversation. But Sammy's still a little bit on edge about this, so she really doesn't play too much of a big role inside of the third episode. It's all about Moko-chan that is trying to learn about the humans. She then soon does learn what humans are and what they like to do. They like to have fun. They like to do activities, other things, all sorts of the above in the human history of the world. However, because she's a goddess of death, she changes her eye color to blue. Blue eye color. So her eyes then go back to blue as she's blending in with humans. But she's so used to it now, after a few hours, that she's having a good old time talking to Gregory, Sammy, everyone else, all of the above. It's not later till then that she then goes to sleep, well, they all do, and then they wake up the next morning because Moko is happy and full of joy. Then she basically said she wanted to go to a disco club. So, the three go to the disco club and basically say, let's get wrecked. And then the following episode is episode 4. Disco Club. What a completely normal name. Now, inside a disco club, you know what they do there. They do all of the above. All kinds of fun stuff. They dance, they drink, they do drugs. All kinds of things. However, because Gregory now has 10% of plot armor, he can't take it anymore after they've been there for a few hours. He starts to feel sick and goes home. We then turn over to Moko and Sammy. And because Sammy's completely drunk out of her mind, and she's high as a kite, she asks Moko to dance, and she does. She dances. She dances along to the beat. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. She dances along to all of it. And I think that's really cool. However, it's basically a distraction for just more added plot, story, advice, and information. What happens here is that after she amazes everybody by her dancing skills, she sees that Sammy has OD'd and almost dies. After this, she gets transported to the hospital. Now, the original plan for this part was that while Moko was doing the dancing skills, a gunshot would have been heard from somebody in the club, and then Samantha would have had a knife stuck in her neck. That didn't happen. That's just scrapped lore and just ideas. Because the final cut, I could not do that. So I went with the basic average one, saying, hey, let's go ahead and do this instead. Anyways, back to the story. After she's outside of the hospital, She begins to act a little bit weird after a few days have passed and Moko was there with her the entire time. Samantha is learning the truth after she gets back home. She's learning the truth about who Moko is. She's talking to these entities. And she gets completely just messed up in a way. And by messed up, I mean it's really, really bad. She goes to the point of then yelling at Gregory to get out and that he's trash, wasn't a true friend, she doesn't care, and he wasn't her friend before any of this. This is false because her mind is being taken over by something else. So then, Gregory crying, he goes to see Moko and is like, oh crap, you don't want to go to her room, she's completely messed up. We then get a glimpse of what is happening to her. Now Sammy's hair is completely long, it's red colored, crimson red like blood, and her eye, that you can only see, is fully black, pitch black. And then we go over to the next episode, you could say, episode 5. Episode 5 I don't think is very long. It just proves a point that there's this entity inside of her. Gregory goes over to her room, knocks on it, but Samantha's completely different, unrecognizable. The eye right here, and her mouth right here. She has like a tentacle poking out of her now, and her neck is so long that her shirt doesn't even fit her anymore. Now, her shirt is still on, but if you go and watch the manga yourself, you will see. But anyways, moving along in the timeline, we see that Gregory is scared out of his mind, and he tries to run away. But before he could even reach the door in the lore, Samantha, or known as Queen Amane, a demonic demon, eats him whole and he dies. The next thing that happens is that in the next scene we see Moko at a bar telling everybody that goodbye and stay safe out there. She then sees that there's blood and havoc all inside of the entire outside world. She tries to contact Gregory, but this does not work. This doesn't work because he is dead. So she goes home, sees no sign of Sammy at all. Everything's all messed up. It's a complete wreck. There's blood everywhere. But the thing that makes Moko vomit is that she sees blood in the dark hallway and grabs an eye. This eye is no other than Gregory's eye. And so she panics. But then she gets like smashed outside out of nowhere by Queen Amane. It's not then until now that she's having a hard time getting up. She's all beat up. And she recognizes who Queen Amane is. It's then told that we learn that Queen Amane is something called Glitch. Because it tries to mimic Moko's voice, screaming for her in a such horrifying way that you could never possibly to be explained. I want you to try and say my name, Gabe. You know, my real name. Try to say that, but also try to mimic it like this. This is going to send chills down your spine severely. So, we get a glimpse of her saying Moko, kind of like this. Moko! She yells it, and it repeats. She can't say anything else other than Moko's name. Now, if you tried putting that into editing software, where I have edited a lot of things in my mangas, that if you try to play like on, let's say, 2.05, I believe it is, and you can glitch that out into this video, but you also can hear like a glitching sound of something messing up on a computer at the same time. If you understand what I'm saying, please comment it. It's basically just a glitched voice, but she's a complete monster. Anyways, back to the story is that then we have this awesome only boss fight. After she realizes what Sammy has become, she basically asks herself, why did she do this? I don't want to kill you, you're my best friend. And then her eyes turn completely black and red again to fight, but she gets smashed through. Moko gets, like, thrown into so much stuff that's not even funny. In fact, she gets thrown into a building that then we go over to Moko versus Glitch, episode 7. So in episode 7, we have this really awesome fight where 2 minutes later, Moko's already beaten up. She can barely stand, she can barely breathe, she can barely walk. And by the time that she's fighting Glitch, this monster is just, like, really big to the point that, okay, we know the powers of... Let me get this out of the way first. We know the powers of Moko. She can regenerate, but can she really regenerate in time from agility and ability? Speed and healing. Let's say this. You're fighting a monster that is kind of the size of a door, but if you made it really wider and longer. Okay, don't take that the wrong way. Don't take that the wrong way at all. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is that Glitch can fight back faster than Moko. And Moko can only catch up to just, I don't know, she can just catch up to like a glimpse second. But she gets so messed up that she's not fast enough to attack and regenerate. What then happens is that after Moko is smashed into a building, she realizes that her leg is all messed up. She's badly injured. And her arm, I believe it's her left arm, that was hanging by a thread. She then decides to say that I know what I have to do, and she gets up, and her body completely heals. But the fun thing is that this is completely messed up, so just hear me out. The thing that happens after that is she goes ahead and stands up, but she starts screaming in pain as fire starts to burst from her arm. Her left arm gets cut off, falls off, and gets turned into this thing called the Phoenix Blade. Her arm turns into a legit blade that is metal, and it's on fire. And now her hair is on fire as well. We could call this Moko Phoenix if you wanted to. Basically, still the goddess of death, but you're stronger now that this power is consuming you behind the scenes of the manga. And so what this happens is that it proves a point later on. Anyways, Moko then decides to go outside and kill this monster for good. As the manga read that she has to time the strike perfectly to kill Glitch. So because she's, like, her hair's on fire and her arm is on fire, you could call it the Phoenix Blade. Phoenix Moko is so powerful, but it's like that thing that once you're in the anime world and you see that final power, it can only be used for one thing. So then what does Phoenix Moko decide to do? Well, she decides to proceed to throw Glitch, as big as she is, up onto a roof of the building she was knocked in. Then Phoenix Moko proceeds to run up to the roof on the side of the building, hops off, and completely times it correctly to where the Phoenix Blade stabs Glitch, and Glitch gives a really loud scream saying she doesn't want to die. But Moko said, "Be gone!" And as cool as that line is, it ends Glitch's monstrosity life, leaving nothing but the memory and soul for a glimpse second of Sammy. Moko then gets her arm back after the Phoenix Blade is done. Her arm comes back, she passes out, her eyes turn the correct color again, which I believe her eyes were green when she was Phoenix Moko. So her eyes turn back to blue, but this doesn't matter about the eye color because she's passed out on the roof. So, after she passes out, her hair turns back to black and she's in the hospital for a few months. But she doesn't know it because when she wakes up in the hospital, she's already getting released. She was in a coma for so long that the doctors actually had to do some surgery on her, and they did something to her. We could say that they put an insane amount of power inside of her because they know what she is. They've been watching her. So, was she really in the hospital? That's what you have to think about. Was she in a hospital? Yes, but at the time, was she inside of a laboratory or a morgue? Because as the rumor goes for this part, she dies a second time, but only through the lore. So they bring her back to life basically after 5 months have passed and release her from the hospital. She does not know what happened to her. She does not know why. And so she goes back to the house, calm and sad, and she goes into her room wishing a happy dream. All I want to dream is a dream to be happy. But as the manga read, until I got a heart attack and died in my sleep. This is her third death, but you don't know this because what I just said about the lore when she was in the hospital was her second death. Her third death is when she's inside of her room at the house. The house that's all broken and covered in blood and everything. But she doesn't know this as she smiled and she got a heart attack and died. We then go over to episode 8, the final episode, Afterlife. I think it's called Afterlife Restart Rebirth. That's exactly what it's called. This part of the manga is not colored at all because she's in the afterlife. What happens here is that she sees a door, she doesn't know where she is and why she's see-through. So she opens the door and then hears Sammy's voice basically saying, "Why did you kill me?" It's not after that she confesses and says again, "Why did you kill me? I didn't really want to become a monster." Moko bursts into tears and basically says, "I didn't want to kill you. You were my friend. I never wanted any of this to happen to you. I'm sorry." And then Sammy's soul basically says, "That's all I wanted to hear." So then we get a really little glimpse of just the strangest plot you could think of the entire story. So after they're done with that, they're happy, but then they proceed to do the deed. Their souls combine together. If you know what I mean by do the deed, you know what I mean. They proceed to do you know what for at least 5 minutes or so. And then their souls get combined and go back into the real world inside of Moko's body. Now, Moko's hair is, I do believe, her hair is red, her eye color is red, and on the other side, her hair is pink, and it's her eye color, her other eye is literally like green or pink or something. I think I made it pink. The point I'm trying to say here is that Sammy was Moko's sister all along, and as they're inside of her body, they say how they're gonna take roles, like, we're two souls in the same person, your body. We'll switch out when we need to. That means that their hair color would turn different. Like, Sammy is pink, Moko is red. So at that time, they put 2 and 2 together and just had to switch up every now and then. But Moko then asks, "Where do we go after we sleep?" Sammy then replies, "We go to the afterlife." Yeah. So when you go to sleep, you die. But however, it's not done yet. This is when Moko earns the name Makoto Sammy because two sisters are inside of the same body. Try to take that in for a moment. Try to take that in and think about that for a moment. Hell, I don't even blame you for pausing the video by this point. But it's a lot to take in. Our story then ends after they proceed with their lives and go on. However, because this lore was actually hidden and because Season 2 takes place 2 years later after Season 1, what happens behind the scenes after the manga ends is that, they go on, they get jobs, but they also committed crimes, such as because Moko couldn't contain herself, she kills people and thinks it's funny. She then is trying to be stopped behind the scenes, and this is lore really after the manga ends, the lore inside of the same chapter, and then we move on to the ending song. But what happens behind the chapter is something I don't tell you. Like I said, she kills people and she's starting to become a psychopathic monster. Sammy does want her to stop, but it's not until then that they have to go into hiding into a house so they're not detected. They didn't take a break inside of this house, like far away from their actual town and home. After that, they rest up there and say basically this is our house now and we can stay here. But it's until that point that Moko is actually in the connections with the CIA. And she is the headmaster of the CIA. She runs everything. But only time can tell in Season 2 what is to happen next. And there you go, the complete recap of the full first season of Moko Chan Darkside with the lore. I hope all of you have enjoyed, as this is a road to Moko Chan Season 2. That being said, this has been Saki Nakaido, Sub-Final to Anime here, aka John Pullman, horror author, manga writer, personality here, aka Gabe here. And remember to stay tuned for more new awesome, epic, amazing content coming to the channel, along with everything covered on Black Ops 6, Moko Chan Darkside Season 2, and other mangas coming in the future, and other stuff like that. I hope all of you have enjoyed, as I really did try my hardest to think about these ideas. Anyways, let me know what all of you thought down in the comments below. And without further ado, stay safe out there, everyone. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Excuse me. A S++ time in general. Alright. I'll see all of you later. Peace out, everybody. Bye-bye. Stay tuned for more.